What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Skeleton Closet, where we talk celebrity news and hot topics. Today, we're talking about Princess Meghan McCain. Princess of Arizona gets called out by Tiffany Cross of MSNBC. So, let's get into the video.
I'm gonna just run down my shout-outs.
Dun.
Now, initially, I wanted to wait to see if Meghan McCain had something to say in response to Tiffany Cross. Meghan McCain was on TheView last week, and she had some things to say about identity politics when it came to Asian Americans being on TheView, being in politics, as well as just being represented overall. Take a look at what Meghan McCain has to say.
Cabinet positions in government are pinnacle. They're the most important parts of our electoral process, and I truly believe the most qualified people should be holding places that do things like national security and infrastructure, things that literally are the meat and potatoes that make the country great. I believe that what makes America exceptional is the fact that we're a meritocracy, that you can be anything, that you can come from anywhere and go and have success in any capacity. And I think the question Democrats have to reconcile with right now is whether or not race and gender are more important than qualification. So if you have someone who is more qualified, who happens to be a white, straight person, who is more on paper, has more experience in whatever field that they're being nominated for, than a minority with less experience, are we now in a place where this matters? And there's a lot of really interesting...
Actually, just the natural progression of identity politics. And I will say, just to put a cap on this, TheView is 25 years old next year. We've only had one Asian American co-host this show. So does that mean that one of us should be leaving at some point because there's not enough representation? We're talking about, is identity politics more important than qualifications of a job? And I think that's a question going forward that the progressive left is going to have to reconcile.
Now, on Saturday, Tiffany Cross on her show, The Cross Connection, that is on MSNBC, absolutely threw down with Meghan McCain, rebutted everything that she had to say in regards to identity politics, basically letting Princess of Arizona know that she had no idea what she was talking about. When she's having something to say about identity politics and whether or not people are getting positions because of their skin color or where they came from, regardless of their qualifications, has a lot to do with herself than it has to do with anyone else. And Tiffany Cross does an amazing job of explaining how Meghan McCain is projecting and how she basically has no idea what she's talking about. Take a look at this.
This morning, I'd like to have a quick conversation about identity politics and a princess called Meghan. Nope, not that Meghan. Yes, this one, Meghan McCain. McCain decided to chide Senators Tammy Duckworth and Mazie Hirono, who expressed their frustration over the Biden administration's shortage of senior Asian Americans. They initially said they would no longer support many of President Biden's nominees before backing off after receiving assurances from the Biden administration that it would elevate Asian American voices. In response, McCain, whose talent, as far as I can tell, is finding great black hairstylists and benefiting from nepotism.
Yes, one of you should definitely lose your job. I'll give you 2 guesses, but you'll only need 1. So first, not sure if you guys know this or not because she's really shy about bringing it up, but Meghan happens to be the daughter of the late Republican Senator John McCain, but don't tell anyone because obviously she'd never want to bring that up every 5 minutes in lieu of having actual intellectual exchange.
My father.
I mean,
my father.
my father,
My father. My father.
my father,
My father. 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 My father.
But yes, let's talk identity politics. Feminist writer Barbara Smith was among the 3 women who coined the term identity politics, and the original intent of the phrase was articulating black women's struggle at the nexus of race, gender, and class oppressions. But just like with hairstyles, Meghan, we've watched you take it, twist it, braid it, and lock it so it benefits the warped presentation of your own clumsy and ill-informed thoughts. Now, name me any group that does not bring their identity into the ballot box. When MAGA-donning Trump supporters showed up in droves, how often did we hear the term white economic anxiety? And note how white voters are always given cute little nicknames like Joe the Plumber or soccer moms or NASCAR dads. All of that, Meghan, is identity politics. And when it came to every other voting bloc, we were simply identified by our race, as if these cute little colloquialisms couldn't be applicable to the rising majority of America. Now, let's address this preposterous notion that somehow being a woman of color suggests that you aren't qualified. I actually understand why you may feel this way. Perhaps you assume that a person's ethnic identity may afford them some advantage. It's called projection, when one unconsciously ascribes traits that you don't like about yourself and attribute them to someone else. Like, I don't know, if my only talent was who I was related to, I may assume that everyone else had some similar unfair advantage, you know? But try being an ally instead of an adversary, because just so you know, in 2020, over 11 million Asian American Pacific Islanders were eligible voters, and those who did cast ballots played a huge role in electing President Biden. So the same way spoiled little gun-toting faux Christian narcissists get to make demands of their chosen politicians, so too do those of us who helped pave the way for this administration. The latest data we could get our hands on show that Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are barely 3% of the broadcast media workforce, yet they are the fastest growing demographic in this country and represent nearly 6% of the population. Everyone deserves to see themselves reflected in this space. And as someone who grew up yearning to see my lived experience reflected back to me, and then had to crawl, claw, and fight at every turn to take up space in broadcast media, I simply ask, how dare you? From now on, I hope you speak less and listen more, and take a little time to enjoy this view.
Meghan McCain tries to say it's a slippery slope when gender and race can become more important than skills and qualifications. Isn't she, in a way, benefiting from that very same thing that she is so afraid of, or says is a problem or is a slippery slope? If you ask me, she might be at the top of the slope or somewhere in the middle, because as far as I know, Meghan McCain's qualifications that got her on Fox News and then on TheView is simply because of her last name. And Tiffany Cross does an amazing job of explaining that to her viewers and everyone else, especially Meghan McCain, if she happened to watch, which is why I wanted to wait to record this video. But I realized today that TheView is on a hiatus this week. They are taking a break. But Meghan McCain did have something cute to say on Twitter where she just says, "my father," when responding to a tweet that had something to do with a Jeopardy answer. Now, I'm guessing she did have a chance to take a look at Tiffany Cross's response to what she had to say on TheView last week, and that was her way of responding to what Tiffany Cross had to say. So as you can see, Tiffany Cross is not having it with Meghan McCain. She is absolutely fed up with Princess of Arizona, Nutmeg, Meghan McCain, going on TheView, spouting absolute nonsense to the people that tune into the show. Every time I do a video on Meghan McCain, there is a large consensus of people that are fed up with her. And I am sure that that is just not concentrated in my comment section on my videos. That is something that is happening across America, across TheView viewers. And people are absolutely fed up with Meghan McCain and the way that she goes on television and expresses her views on things as a conservative. And something that I really appreciate and thank Tiffany Cross for doing was calling Meghan McCain out, specifically when she tried to insinuate that someone who is of a different race or skin color is undeserving and should not be able to see themselves represented on television. Because white people have never struggled to see themselves on the big screen. White people have never struggled to see themselves in power. White people have seen themselves on news programs, television shows, in positions of power for centuries, okay? So it's very offensive for Meghan McCain to say what she said, and I really appreciate what Tiffany Cross had to say in response to that. She said, "Everyone deserves to see themselves reflected in a space. As someone who grew up yearning to see my lived experience reflected back to me and then had to crawl, claw, and fight at every turn to take up space in broadcast media, I simply ask, how dare you? And I ask the same question. How dare Meghan McCain say the things that she said? How dare you? Because yes, I'm pretty sure that someone is more qualified than you. You want to scream from the rooftops about identity politics when you're not even using it correctly. And Tiffany Cross basically says your whole argument is invalid. Meghan McCain does this time and time again. She goes on TheView and talks about things that she has no idea what she's talking about. She wants to act like identity politics is a problem. Identity politics is something that every demographic does. Tiffany Cross explains that as well. I don't need to go through that because you all already saw the clip, and she does so perfectly, explaining why Meghan McCain is wrong, why she tries to use identity politics to get her point across when that is also wrong, but also how she is so offensive in insinuating that someone who is different race than she is may be less qualified and could possibly get a job because of their skin color, regardless of their qualifications. No, sweetie, that is not how it works. That is not what happens. What we're simply saying is that representation matters. Everyone deserves to see themselves reflected back to them. That is simply what everyone has been expressing for years now. I make this same assertion about conservatives all the time. Where's the compassion? Where's the empathy? Where is your humanity? I like Meghan McCain for TheView. I like Meghan McCain for television. I like hearing the other side's point of view. But Meghan McCain just is starting to rub me the wrong way in a lot of different ways, and it's very upsetting and it's very annoying to have to hear her say such ignorant things on a daily basis. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Do you think Tiffany Cross might have went a bit too far when talking about Meghan McCain and mentioning her nepotism and the reason why she got her job or jobs is because of her last name? Do you think Tiffany Cross was right? Do you think Meghan McCain absolutely has no idea what she's talking about and just gets her talking points from her husband? That is something that is said quite often. Another thing that I would love for you guys to chime in on is, do you think Meghan McCain should be replaced on TheView? And if so, who do you think would be a great fit to replace Meghan McCain with? Another conservative woman? Who do you think that conservative woman would be? Please let me know down in the comment section. I would love to get your input. If you guys haven't already, be sure to hit that like button so that I can know how you felt about today's video, but as well so that you can help me get it pushed through the algorithm a little bit. Definitely appreciate that. As well, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can be a part of the family and join us in the closet. And again, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.